Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the podcast and the YouTube channel. And today we're going to be breaking down the Thursday, March 19th League of Legends, the LPL, the professional league over in China. We're going to be breaking down that 3-game slate. And I'm going to be honest, over the last 3 days of playing League of Legends, it has been, one, successful, but two, it's been fun. I'm usually somebody who's up at like 4:30 in the morning, and that's when the second and third of these games usually start on these 3-game slates. So we're going to be breaking it down. If you're brand new here, and a lot of people, there's a lot of influx looking for League of Legends, I want to be very clear at the start of this video. What I do here, and what I did about 5 days ago, is just create a League of Legends model for all the different leagues, a statistical model, having some sort of projections in the works, but I'm not trying to sell you anything here. You're going to run into a lot of providers, quote unquote, and whatever people want to call the people who cover endlessly and very good and put in a lot of work in this industry, some things, and I do not want to slight anybody, but I'm not trying to sell you anything. I want to just provide information because, one, I love playing daily fantasy sports, two, this is my job, and three, the combination of both of those things. Without them, I have no idea what to do. So I just want to help people provide information in that sense. I do have a Patreon. That is what that picture is up above, but I do not want to try and sell you or incentivize you to go over there. These sheets will be over there. I'll be having a little bit more information over there as well as in some different sports. But just to the current patrons, I want to let you know that there's a ton of content still on the way, even though the major sports are not going. I've gotten some tidbits on some other sports that are coming out for DraftKings, and they sound pretty exciting, and some things that I know people are going to like to watch as long as these leagues that DraftKings has found are actually going to continue, and so far they are. But I just want to make that a clear point and very important point that I'm not a League of Legends lifetime fan or anything like that. I think it's a very cool thing. And I think that the fact that we can actually play this still and feel security with it in DFS is strong. So I just want to provide help and information here for everybody free of charge on this podcast and YouTube channel. Hopefully you enjoy it. And the only thing that I do ask of you is if you could hit the subscribe button, if you could hit the notification bell. Really, the subscribe button is the big one. And if you're listening on the podcast, hitting that subscribe button and just leaving a review, one or the two, right? Either of them would be great. Both would be fantastic. It helps go a long way, especially in times like this, to keep my content still showing up on other people's platforms that are looking for this new content. So with that said, we have a 3-game slate. These slates start very early in the morning. If you have not yet found a reliable source for how to just play League of Legends in general, this is not going to be the video for that. This is going to be a breakdown. I do have something on Patreon for that, a podcast about how to play, what each position scores, what the best positions are, lineup construction strategies. I'll talk through those a little bit while we go through each position, but I'm going to go position by position like I do for football, XFL, all those types of sports. I'm going to go through each of them, and then we're going to really just do like a 15 to 20 minute video, and I plan on doing these daily. League of Legends, the North American League is about to come back as well. There's going to be a Korean League, so lots of League of Legends is going to be played. We'll see if they add any more esports, but more sports are in the works. I can tell you all that right now. I'm not sure if I'm at liberty to disclose what those are, but they're coming. They're going to be on DraftKings really soon. But with that said, please hit the subscribe button and check it out. So you can check out the Patreon if you want. I do appreciate all of that. My name is Sal Vetri. You can follow me on Twitter as well for updates. But as I record this, the League of Legends slate from tonight is still going on, and there's one game still to go, and it should be pretty fun slates. Should be pretty good. But your top laner and your top liners are on those to start. There's 6 teams playing right now. They're going to be priced usually based on how big of a favorite they are, and that's what you're seeing. There's 2 huge favorites on this slate. On this slate, you're going to have Invictus Gaming, probably one of the ones that you know, if anything, just from some of the games that they actually make. They are the biggest favorite as of right now, a minus 833 favorite. So you get the Shy from Invictus Gaming at 6,200. Definitely going to be of interest to me. I'm going to be breaking down on Patreon later, just kind of the yeses and players that are going to be going stacks wise. But what you want to do in League of Legends is you want to be stacking, and now the more times that people stack over the next few weeks, it might actually become more optimal to change up your stacks, but having a 4-3 stack is important. You want 4 players from one team. The team specifically, you don't want to stack their team with them because it's just going to provide less upside. And then you want 3 from another team, or you want 2. So 4 players from one team, 2 from another, and then a third being your team slot. And you can stack that with your 2 players from the other team. Not from the exact same game. You want to prioritize winning teams. So a minus 833 favorite is absolutely humongous. So the Shy is definitely going to be in play. Imgun has played the last 3 matches, I believe now, and you're going to get him. If I'm pronouncing these names wrong, I apologize. I've only watched about 1 or 2 of these events, and they're usually in a different language on the broadcasts. But that's also a huge favorite, minus 17. Minus 7-14 favorites is what you're going to be getting at a Fun Plus Phoenix. So those are the two biggest favorites on the slate. You start to get a situation where you could maybe take a slight underdog in some of your spots in the matchups between Dominus Esports and Team WE. So you're going to get Dominus Team Sports as the slight underdog at plus 173 as of the last time I checked. You're going to get Team WE as a minus 238 favorite. So slight favorite. So that game can actually go as a toss-up. You're getting about a third of the time Dominus Gaming is actually winning, so not great. 50% of the time you get Team WE winning. So again, it's a coin flip almost. They are still the favorites and a decent side favorite at that, but that's a potential spot to get different in GPPs. So I'm going to be taking players only from these teams that I think have a chance to win, and that's probably something that going forward is going to stay even if there's a huge influx and there's going to be 10, 11,000 people in some of these contests now, and I imagine there's going to be more. I'm going to be taking the players that I think have a chance to win. So the two huge favorites, yes, those players are going to be my player pool. So Gimgoom and the Shy, and then from WE, Team WE, Morgan at 6,000, and then Natural from the only underdog that I think stands a chance at a minus or a plus 173. So those are the spots that I'll go to. The ones that I probably want to prioritize the most here, Invictus Gaming, the Shy at 6,200 seems like a really strong price point. 66% of the kill participation. That's pretty much the highest on the slate that you're going to find. Again, these lineups potentially can change, but we usually get lineup news before we go to bed, at least for the Chinese league. They play 3 rounds and 3 matches per contest in the regular season. Some of the stuff that we're going to see later in the week from North America, they only play 1 per round. So that's where I'm at with the top liners and top laners. When it comes to captain, you can put a top laner in the captain. It's not the best idea, and it's not something that I would recommend. It's just a spot where if it's a really weird slate and like it's your only way to fit in the upside, I think it's okay in that situation. But when it comes to your captain spot, you want to really be prioritizing your AD carrier, your mid laner. They get the most points in general, and also junglers will as well. But depending on the slate, there's exceptions to that if it means that it's a really tight price slate. And I think now, since so many players are understanding the optimal way to play, similar to tennis, similar to baseball, you should really just be stacking and trying to build efficient lineups and focus on teams winning, similar to tennis. You might start to see some upside in putting some other players in that captain spot. Right now, I don't think it's there, though, so you don't have to worry about it. Mid laners. So in terms of the map, and I have more stats on here if you want to check them out, but in terms of the map for the mid laners, you're going to have a map that is pretty much a circle, kind of. It's not really a circle, but the left side's called the top laner. The mid laner goes right up the middle. That's where a lot of the combat is. That's why they're one of the highest scoring players and usually the best player on their team in terms of when their team wins, they get a ton of fantasy points. So once again, it's who's the biggest favorites. Fun Plus Phoenix is a minus 714 favorite, and then you have Invictus Gaming, a minus 833 favorite. They win 80% of the time in Invictus Gaming. They're going to be somebody that I end up putting in to a lot of my lineups at mid laner, a lot of my lineups at captain, and they're the most expensive players in the slate for that exact reason. Team WE, I'm going to have interest in Plex, Angel, to an extent. So from Plex, I'll have interest in at 7,400, and then that's probably it. I do have Angel on here as an interest, but being on a team as a huge underdog is not going to be great. Plus 426, they win 56% of the time, which is good, but the only reason I have Angel highlighted is because of how good of a player. It's the second highest scoring player in the slate if you're talking per game. And now you don't want to look at per game averages as much because it can be a little bit skewed from places where they win and lose. But you have a situation, and just in terms of kill participation, the highest on the slate for any mid laner is going to be Angel. The problem is it's such a huge underdog. Average kills per contest, the highest on the slate at 5.9. So a player who scores a ton of points, obviously you want that win upside, and they are decent sized underdogs. But when it comes to GPPs and you're just looking for maybe a contest to go the full 3 rounds instead of getting swept 2-0, Angel could come into play if it goes the full 3 rounds and still picks up a ton of scoring. The problem is not super cheap. Like if this was a $6,400 price tag that we were seeing, it would be great, but it's a $7,000 flat, and you start to get to the favorites for less than $1,000 more. So that's from with the mid laners. Again, they score a ton of points in the department of kills and the department of assists, kill participation, all those things. Kill participation is just how often they're involved in the kills, so assists, all that type of stuff. And then later on today, I'll probably be at least retweeting some of the people in this community from esports that I've been being able to be introduced to over the last few days. I just really want to push a lot of the traffic because there's going to be a ton of people coming to myself and some other established content creators in the fantasy and daily fantasy sports space, and it makes sense. But I think that the people who have been just naturally here and are the natives in this space, it is very rude to come in and stomp on a space and just try and get a money grab. So again, this is totally free content for myself, but I want to make sure that a lot of people that are natives in this space get the credit that they deserve from being in this space for a lot longer than people and being the experts. So I'll be trying to put out a Twitter list and work with some people over there and get a lot of their names out there as well. But that's where I'd go with the mid laner. Again, they're just in the middle of the map, and they're really where a lot of the combat is, and they usually are going to reign supreme or one of the top 2 players in terms of how much points they pick up. Support won't have a ton of points, but if they're on a winning lineup, they can definitely generate an upside. So again, it's the same exact thing. Invictus Gaming, Southwind is going to be somebody that is the highest priced player in the slate and probably the best player in the slate outside of probably Fun Plus Phoenix's starter in terms of crisp. So those are your 2 plays because of how big of favorites they are. They've also played the most games this year. If you're talking about a situation where this should be highlighted based on deaths being darker. So if you're just talking about a situation where you can pick up a lot of points, it's going to come from the assists department. These support characters are going to be on the right side of the lane with the AD carrier. AD carrier is a weak character in terms of health, but picks up a lot of kills. So the support is exactly what the name says. They're just supporting that character. They're trying to just be included in assisting and really not too much kill participation, but mainly assists. So you're going to see high number of assists here. Southwind from Invictus Gaming, 11 assists per contest. That is the highest in the slate. 10.73 assists per contest is crisp from the Fun Plus Phoenix. So these are just your 2 best plays in the slate at 5,800 and 5,200. Once again, if you're looking for something of a upset type of a play, missing 8.6 assists per game, a 238 favorite, that's going to be in a player pool. But there's no way I'm going to play 2. If you're playing one lineup and you're stacking, you're getting different if you're playing missing at 5,400. But if you're trying to play cash games, there's just no way that you go there over somebody like Crisp at 5,200, in my opinion, with a much better win upside, a much better just upside in terms of how many assists per contest that they're landing. That's about it. Like Mark from, once again, the slight underdog of Dominus Gaming is a situation that you can look at, but not a high scorer at all. I'm actually going to take Mark off of this right now. Again, some of these players, depending on what the lineups are later today, I'm going based off of total games and recent plays to see what the lineups are, because I think that's the best way to indicate this. Things will always change, of course. Like yesterday, you had Lights in the starting lineup for Ashura. So things will always change like that, but just keep an eye on it. You'll have that news over on Twitter. For your AD carriers, similar things can be said. This is where you're going to get with the mid laner the highest scores. These are the weak characters on the bottom, the right side of the map, and they go there with the support. They pick up a ton of things. Not only do they pick up assists, they also will be picking up a ton of kills. Maybe not as much kills in the middle of the map like the mid laners will get, but they're another high scoring player on the teams. Very similar to the mid laners in terms of they should probably be in your captain spot more times than not. If you're just looking for that 90 to 100 plus point upside out of a player, this is where it's going to come from. You have Puff averaging 94 points per game in terms of fantasy, and a lot of those are wins. 80% win rate, huge favorite today, hard to ignore. And LWX, another one hard to ignore. So these are just the 2 best plays in the slate. It's not too much more in depth than that. Again, you want to be stacking 4-3. You want to be trying to prioritize some of these players that are the bigger favorites, but just keep in mind that if you're playing GPPs, everybody's going to be doing that. If you have $1,700 left in the table and you like your lineup and you think it's optimally built, let it go out there. If you're leaving no money on the table in these contests and you're not stacking, you're never going to win. It is as simple as that. You are hedging against yourself. You're building bad lineups. You need to be stacking. And it's just vital at this point. The jungler is somebody who kind of hops around the map, has another upside in terms of kills. They'll be getting a lot of kills, especially later in the rounds as they get a little bit closer to like the middle to the match or towards the end of it, when they're actually in one stable place in the middle of the map. They have a lot of kill upside, and you're going to see more kills here. It's interesting. So you have Peanut on here who, if Peanut gets to start today, for LGD Gaming, is actually the highest kills, average kills, 3.89 per round on this slate for anybody that has a decent amount of starts. So far, 9 games played for Peanut, and a 75.9% kill participation. These are really high stats. The issue becomes that there's a really chance you would get a 2-0 sweep here as a plus 487, the biggest underdog on the slate. So Peanut's probably not somebody that I end up going to, but as a $6,600 player, very strong. It's just the fact that like you might not even get a whole round out of it, and this is one of those spots where, yes, the average points are very high, 67.4, pretty much the second highest on the slate, third highest on the slate, right around there for any of these junglers, but that's in a lot of those in winning lineups. Now, only a 33% win rate, but that's being artificially lifted up by some spike performances during victory. So, once again, going to stick to some of the higher priced players here, but I do think that if you want to go to Dominguez, the Dominus Gaming, that's a spot to potentially get some leverage in cheaper lineups if you're going to be building. I also think that you can go one-offs in some situations, so it's not great. You want to continue to stack, and I'll harp that home. And if you're going to go a one-off, I would go with the team position, if anything. just because it's not as correlated. But if you wanted to go one-offs, I think situations like Peanut at 6,600, there's going to be upside there. You're just probably missing out on a victory, and you want to be chasing and hunting victories in this. And then finally, the team page. So I've gotten asked, Sal, what is pretty much like, what is the difference? Why should you not be putting teams in the captain spot? Teams have a cap. You should not be putting your teams in the captain spot. So the team's rosterable spot, they have a cap of like 50 to 60 point upside. If they get a crazy win and they pick up a ton of things, they just get a ton of dragon kills, they get a ton of turrets and whatever else, barons, all that stuff. You should not be wanting to put them in your captain spot because their 50 to 60 point upside is horrendous. There's going to be players every single day that are dropping at the very least 80 and very likely 90 to 100 plus points, and then you throw them in your captain spot, and they're now doubling the amount that a team in the captain spot has. You just can't make that up anywhere else, even if they are cheaper. So I would not recommend, at least right now, teams in the captain spot the way that it's currently scored. I think that you're really setting yourself up to lose every single time. In terms of teams and how you should correlate them, from what I've seen just looking back on Fantasy Cruncher, I spent the weekend doing a lot of that and just analyzing winning lineups, analyzing like top 10 lineups, things like that. A lot of the times you're going to see winning lineups and successful lineups stack 4 players from a team, but not include that team. You can't have 5 from a team. DraftKings won't let you put that in. So, for instance, Invictus Gaming today, if you wanted to roster their top laner, mid laner, AD carrier, and jungler, and you can afford all that, I would rather do that than affording just the mid laner, support, AD carrier, and then a team, right? So you're going to get a ton more points in the event that the team wins from the individual players than the team itself. So, just stack 4 players from an individual team, and then you can stack 2 players from another team, and then either take that 2 player stacks actual rosterable team spot, or go and find something else if you want to get a little bit different with a one-off. But it's the exact same thing. What is the win percentage? Invictus Gaming, dominating. All right, huge favorites today, 80% win rate. Fun Plus Phoenix, you get a $200 discount if that actually works for you, and I think they have just as much upside based on their total. And then you get a relatively decent discount, $5,200 based off Invictus Gaming for Team WE. They're nice size favorites at $238. And then Dominus Esports has how I've been kind of hitting on them a couple of times here. They're an underdog. They've only won a third of the time. Their overall kill-death ratio for their team in general is the worst on the entire slate. If you're looking at just average game length, it's not lasting that long, and that's usually because they're losing pretty quickly. It's a spot that they are the only underdog that seems viable today at $4,800. So if you're in a situation where you have just a ton of stacked players from Invictus Gaming, your 2-man stack is like Fan Plus Phoenix, and then you just can't afford a defense from one of those teams, I would just go to Dominus Esports. It doesn't seem fantastic, but I definitely don't think it's not optimal, at least if you're talking GPPs. So that's it. That's all the positions. If you got any value from this video or podcast, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know via Twitter. And also, if you can just hit the subscribe button. I'm not trying to money grab for anybody's money here. This is a free video with just data. I'm going to have more data from 2018 stats being posted up over on Patreon as well as these data sheets, as well as just later in the day, I'll go with ranking really where I'm going with teams and their stacks and upside. But all that stuff is just optional, and more so for people who are already patrons to continue to provide value while the major sports are on hiatus for the next a couple of months, really. So thank you. I appreciate you tuning into this video. Please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you can on all these platforms. The goal is to get to 20,000 subscribers. By April was the goal. All these sports being canceled might halt that, but we're only like 300 away. So if you could hit that subscribe button, share this video wherever you may. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and best of luck if tonight is your first esports or one of your first esports contests. Best of luck. I hope that you profit, and I hope that you do really well. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed that video. Above my head, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, I do ask you if you can please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a good amount to reach more people. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's over there. Right in the corner is my @SalVetriDFS Twitter. And then above, you'll find my Patreon link. You can click on that if you want more exclusive content for me. Or a video is going to pop up, so why don't you check that one out as well. I think it's going to be beneficial for you. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.